Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, thank you for clicking on this video. Make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe. So today's video is going to be about spiritual awakening, the signs of spiritual awakening, how to know that you are going through an enlightenment and awakening, and what you need to do to continue your journey. So I'm going to talk about 10 signs of spiritual awakening today. If you see me looking down, I have a notebook because I want to make sure that I cover everything that I want to talk about and I don't want to forget anything. But a lot of this video is going to be about my personal experience along with common signs. Like, there's way more than 10, but in this video I'm just going to speak on 10, but every person is unique and your spiritual awakening symptoms or signs could be different from the person's next to you. So these are just like general ones that seem to be across the board. Okay, so first we're going to talk about what is spiritual awakening. An awakening or an enlightenment is when you come to the realization that we're more than our 3D bodies. When you go through a part of your life and you start to realize there is more than what seems to be around you, okay? I think it's funny and I like to joke about it. Like, when I went through my awakening, I started to think that life was a joke. Like, everything around me was a joke. I started to look at everything as if it was just an object that is completely useless, doesn't mean anything, doesn't relate to my life, doesn't help my life. And I've talked to a lot of people who feel the same way. You start to think like everything is just a joke. Like, I'll look at cars and I'd be like, why do people spend so much money on cars? Like, it gets you from point A to B. That's so stupid. And before that, I loved cars. I mean, I still like cars. Don't get me wrong. With my boyfriend now, we still look at cool cars and we're like, oh, look at that car, like, that's sick. But I started looking at material things in a different way, and that's actually one of the signs. Your perspective changes. So when I started awakening, it actually came after what I thought was a very low point in my life. I say thought for a reason. I'll get to that later. So when you're going through your awakening, you also feel a strong connection. You start out of nowhere, you're walking down the street and you're looking at animals and other people, and you start to feel your connection with them even though you've never seen them before in your life. And everyone's awakening is different, like I said, but I'm just explaining, what it is. It's your shift in perspective and your mindset of life that is around us right now. So I'm going to get into the signs of them. Number 1, noticing things that you didn't before. So this means anything from synchronicities in numbers, seeing 111, 222, 333, all the way to your type of lifestyle and the material things around you. So you start to notice like how much materialistic things we are actually surrounded by and how much of it we don't need. How much of it humans say that we need. Oh, I need this, I need this, I need this. But then you start to notice that we don't need it. It's completely man-made. For example, restaurants. One of the things was, I was like, there are so many restaurants. Anywhere you go, there are restaurants. Obviously, I've noticed that before my awakening. Like, oh, where do you want to eat? I don't know, let's look at the list of 100 restaurants near us. But this is from a different perspective. You start to think, you're not thinking of it from a business standpoint or a consumer standpoint. You're thinking of it from a wasteful standpoint. So you start to think like, look at all this land that these restaurants are taking up, and at the end of the day, they all do the same thing. They all take your money and they all feed you. They all give you food. What we think that we need them to give us food. They all take your money. It's all for money. You start to think in a different way. You start noticing your behaviors and things that you do on a regular. For example, why am I always drawn to drama? Why do I always want to know what's going on? Why do I care what this celebrity is doing with with their life? Why do I sit down in the TV and watch an hour of someone else's reality TV show of what their life is about? Why do I care what they are doing so much? And you start to think, I should be putting that energy towards myself. You start to think, why do I go through so many different emotions in a day? Why do I get annoyed at this? Why do I get angry at this? Okay, the first stage is just questioning. You're just thinking, why does everything happen? What is the purpose of life? Why are we here? You know, your mind just starts going and going, and you just question everything. I remember for my awakening, I felt very detached from my 3D body and my 3D world around me. You know, I would walk to the car and I would just be like, why? Like, why do we need cars? Why does it matter what car we drive? Why do people judge each other on the types of cars that they drive? Like, why? Big question, why? Number one thing. Number two, feeling connected to everything and everyone around you. So you start to feel the vibrational pull that you have on animals, that you have with other people, because we all have it. We all work on frequencies. Humans, animals, plants, everything living, we all have frequencies. You start to notice your pull towards them, okay? And this could mean anything from driving down in your car down the road and you see someone walking, and before that you might have not thought anything of it, like, okay, it's just a person walking. But this time you see them and you start to think, you almost feel for them. You're like, oh, I wonder what their story is. I wonder where they live, if they have a home, if they have family. Are they happy? Are they depressed? Are they homeless? Do they have money? Are they just walking? You start to go into a little bit more depth of the people that you see, because you feel more of a connection with them. With animals as well, you might start thinking more about animals, and it could be in a sense of just picturing animals out in the world and comparing our civilizations to them, all the way to realizing that processed food is animal cruelty. You know, thinking that the meats that we eat comes from a dead animal that someone killed for our sole consumption. You start to think of it in a different perspective, and you feel for that, okay? And this is why a lot of people who go through a spiritual awakening actually start to cut out meats from their diet. It's not just like a trend, it's a real reason, and I'm actually going through that right now. I realize that what we consume, we are fueling our bodies with. If we consume dead, abused, chemical enhanced meat, how do you think that's going to make us feel, versus going towards veggies and plants that are alive and full of life and giving us energy? You know, so you start to feel for other animals and humans, and you start to feel the connection. You know, I remember thinking, we are all on this earth. That squirrel is on this earth. I'm on this earth. I may never see that squirrel again, but at the end of the day, we're both sharing a home. You think of it in a whole different way. Number three, you start to let go of your material attachments. So this doesn't mean physically getting rid of what you have, but this just means in a mindset form, disattaching your feelings towards materialistic things. For example, if you have a nice car, if you have an expensive computer, if you have a lot of jewelry, you know, of course that always makes us feel good, feel flashy, you know, you might have worked hard for it, but you start, no matter what the circumstances are, you start to think, what does that item do for me? What does that item bring to my life? One of the things that I always think about is, if everything disappeared, if all material things just disappeared, what would I be left with? Would I be happy with what I have? And a lot of people, they would not be happy. They would find that their happiness came from items instead of coming from themselves within. And you start to disattach your feelings towards that thing. Yeah, you know, you like it, you bought it because you like it and you wanted it. But the switch is realizing you're buying something because you want it versus buying something because you feel you need it, okay? In society, a lot of people throw around need a lot. We don't need it. We don't need anything. We want things. So once you realize that, it changes. You know, you could have worked a year, saved up money, and bought something super expensive, but at the end of the day, you can't rely your happiness on that item, because at any moment, it could be gone. It could disappear. If it's a car, it could blow up. You could get into, I'm not, God forbid this happens, but I'm just saying, like, you could get in a fender bender and that car, you know, you don't have it anymore. Then what? Is your whole happiness going to leave with that item? Okay, it's the realization of material items do not bring us happiness. They just bring us a feeling that we want. We give ourselves happiness. So to put it on an item and say that thing made me happy is bad, okay? It's okay to have things and allow that to be happy, but know the difference. You know, it's okay to buy things, but just know that that item isn't making you happy. Your feelings about having it makes you happy. And once you distinguish those things, if those things disappear, you're still going to have your happiness. You're not going to sacrifice your feelings because that item is gone. Number 4, inner peace. This may come in the beginning of your spiritual awakening, or this may come at the end. It is different for everyone. I'll go over my personal experience in a second, but what inner peace is coming to the realization that all you need is food, water, and shelter, and that's it. Everything else above that is a luxury. Everything else in addition to that is just nice to have. But when you notice that everything around you is just extra, you appreciate it more. Therefore, leading to you being more happy and more at peace with yourself, because you know that your whole life doesn't matter based on what is around you and what is surrounded by you, okay? What is really important is having friends and family that love you and care for you and want you to do well and be happy with your life. Those are the true things that are important, and I swear, once you realize that, your inner peace is just going to grow. It's going to blossom. For me, it came towards the end of my cycle. My peacefulness came to me after a huge downfall, what I thought. A downfall before my awakening, and then kind of the gradual build-up during my awakening. I went through a huge phase of just feeling super disattached. So before my awakening, I was at what I thought was a low point in my life. I was losing friendships. I felt like I didn't have a good job. I was riddled with anxiety and depression. And now looking back at it, I'm not even sure exactly what I was feeling, like what I was basing those feelings off of, because it's so far gone out of my head, that part of my life. And it was only about a year ago. It wasn't even that long ago. But I thought I was at a low point in my life, and at the time, I felt like I had nothing. I had my boyfriend, of course, and I had my family, but I felt alone. I felt like I had no one. I felt like I had nothing. I felt like I had nothing going for me at all. I was just depressed and upset. And for about a week and a half straight, I didn't even leave my bed. Like, I went nowhere. I just laid there, and I got up to go to the bathroom and to eat a little bit. You know, I wasn't eating a lot. I was just sitting in my own self-pity and sadness and anxiety, and I felt like I had nothing. And then all of a sudden, one day, I just thought to myself, I'm the only person making me feel this way. I can't put my feelings on anyone else. I can't say, oh, this happened to me, and this happened to me, and this friend left me, and this friend didn't appreciate me, that's why I'm sad. No, I'm sad because I'm allowing myself to be sad. And it just clicked in my head one day, and I was like, I don't want to be this way anymore. Like, what am I waiting for to make a change? You know, what am I waiting for to pull me out of this state of depression that I was in? And I just got up and I got ready and I got dressed, and I decided that I'm just actively going to push those negative thoughts out of my head. And I realized that I didn't have nothing. I had everything. I had a boyfriend who loved me. I had a family who loved me. I had a cat who loved me. I had a roof over my head. I had food to eat, water to drink. That was it. That's all I needed. And I started to go through all the steps of, whoa, like, what is life? Like, what's my purpose? Why are we here? Why do humans live the way that we live? Why are we so indulged in society standards and having this and making the most money and owning this and owning that? And like I said, during my awakening, I went through a super detached phase because I just stopped caring. I stopped caring about materialistic things. I stopped caring about the outside world. I would just think, a month before that, if someone cut me off, I would have spent the next 5 minutes, like cursing under my breath and being annoyed and being like, oh, like, this is so annoying. Why do people do that? Blah, blah. And then during my awakening, someone would cut me off and I'd be like, okay, like, whatever, going on with my day. What is that negative energy going to bring to me? Being upset isn't going to change the situation. It's not going to change the fact that the person cut me off. They're not even going to know that I'm feeling that way. They probably weren't even paying attention. You know what I'm saying? So I realized I'm in control of my feelings. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, why even bother to get upset or mad that someone did that? Oh well. Oh, someone messed up my order out at a restaurant? Who cares? I'm thankful that I can even buy food, that I can come wherever I want and just get whatever I feel like having at the time. So everything just seemed like a joke to me. Like, I would laugh at so much stuff. I would see, we'd go to a restaurant and there would be a line of people behind me who would be like, oh, I have to stand in this line and wait. And I would just be like, at least you're here. At least you can get in your car and drive yourself to get whatever food you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, my whole perspective changed. And then after that, once I pulled myself back in and realized, okay, I have to start caring about a little bit, because at the end of the day, this is the world that I live in. So I can't just go around being like, oh, forget that, like, you're stupid. Like, who cares? But once I realized, like, I have what I need, family, friends, boyfriend. So just go along with life and just do what makes me happy. Stop caring about other people and what they're doing as well, So I switched my energy from judging everyone who was caught up in society, because I realized that's 99% of the people around us, and I just started focusing on myself. And I started to feel so much happier. My anxiety levels went down. I wasn't as depressed, and that's when my inner peace started coming in after like 5 or 6 steps. Number 5, increase in your intuition. So intuition is your gut feeling, or that feeling in your stomach that something's going to happen. So I know we've all experienced that, where we thought, oh, I knew that was going to happen, or I should have done this because I had a feeling. That's your intuition. When you start noticing that your body is giving you gut feelings more than usual, that's a sign of spiritual awakening. You are becoming more in tune with yourself and your body and your soul, and your body is giving you warning signs. And the thing is, all of these things that I'm saying already were going on. We were just not aware of it. So part of the spiritual awakening is becoming aware of the things that are already happening around us. So your intuition, you always had an intuition, you always had a gut feeling, but whether or not you ever noticed it or took it into account when making decisions is, where the change happens. So when you start to become aware that you're having more gut feelings, follow them. Go with them, okay? Our intuition is like a muscle. The more we work it and the more we realize it and follow it, the stronger it gets. And it's crazy how strong your intuition can actually be. That is one of like my biggest aspects. I'm extremely intuitive, and that's because during my awakening, I said, I'm gonna go with my gut feeling on every single instant. Okay, sometimes, yeah, it would be a little bit off, but I realized that even if it was wrong, it was never really wrong. I still wasn't meant to do whatever the other option was. Just because my gut led me to something that didn't work out doesn't mean that that other option would have worked out as well. It could have ended up worse, and my body was leading me to the lesser of two evils. And definitely keep a feeling out for that and follow it, because that is huge. That can lead you through life, honestly. Number 6, synchronicities. This is a favorite topic of mine. What synchronicities are is repeating things. So all the way from numbers to seeing a repeating amount of so-and-so. For example, if you start seeing 3 red cars in a day or 2 red cars in a day for a couple days, that's a synchronicity. If you happen to look at the clock at 111 or 222 or 333, that's a synchronicity. So during my awakening, I started seeing major amounts of synchronicities, and everything came to me in 3s. I started seeing 3 of the same cars in a row. I would see a random stranger 3 times out in public in the same day. I would see 333 everywhere. I would see numbers. I would see 1313 3 times a day, or 444 3 times a day. And what those are, like I said before, things that are always happening, but now we are realizing them and we are taking note of them. And why that is a sign of spiritual awakening is because the universe and our spirit guides and our guardians communicate to us through numbers. They communicate to us through many, many different ways. Through animals is a huge way too, animal guides. But numbers is a huge way for the universe to communicate with us, because we are surrounded by numbers. Everything is made up of numbers. Even if you have a box sitting here, that's one box. It's a number. So each number has a different meaning in the spiritual world, and those numbers lead you on your journey. So definitely make sure you keep note of the synchronicities that you see. Write them down so that you know what to look out for. And trust me, you're going to notice them like abundantly. They're just gonna hit you. I went from not seeing any synchronicities to seeing so many in a day. I was like, what is the universe trying to tell me? So definitely a sign of spiritual awakening is seeing more synchronicities. And don't think that you're crazy. Don't think, oh, that's just a coincidence. Nothing is a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. And if you want to know that reason, one of the nice things about having internet is that you can just look it up. Okay, I'll make a video on numbers and numerology and everything, but if you see 333 or 444 or 1616 or 2424, look it up. And there's plenty of pages that will tell you the spiritual meaning behind those numbers, and I promise you'll be shocked at how accurate it is to your life. One of the things that I'm most proud of is this apartment that my boyfriend and I live in, and we ended up here based on me going off of my intuition and synchronicities that I saw in my life. And I think it's funny because our apartment number, okay, so let me start over. 3 is my number. It led me to where I needed to be in life. It gave me the answers when I did tarot readings and I picked pile number 3. It always told me what I needed to do, where I was in life, what direction I needed to go in. So 3 will always be my lucky number. Next, my life path is 5. A life path is a whole nother thing. I'll make a video about it, but pretty much everyone has a life path, and it's based off of your birthday. And it's pretty much just what your overall soul's purpose is here to do, what type of person you are, what you're meant to do, what you're meant to be in a general aspect. And it's funny because our apartment number equals 5, my life path, and our building number is 3, and it has 3s and 5s in it. So I just thought that was funny because where we needed to be at this point in our life, we were led here based off of me going on my intuition and following advice that I got from following the number 3, and then it was kind of like, yes, like you're correct, like this is where you need to be. It's like a confirmation. So definitely take note of that. Number 7, feeling more empathic. So we are all empathic. Every human has empathy in them. The level that we feel ranges from person, okay? Every person is born with a baseline of empathy in their body. Some people dip below that, and those are people who do crime, like hate crimes, who hurt people, who hurt animals. They feel less empathy. They don't feel for other people's pain. They don't feel for other people's situations. And some people vibrate above that baseline and they have more empathy in them. And when you're going through a spiritual awakening, you have an increase in empathy. You start feeling for others way more and animals way more. And this kind of ties back into the beginning, what I talked about with animals. You start to feel for them more. You feel the connection between them. And what an empath is, there's different types of empaths, but the overall meaning of an empath is being able to feel someone else's feelings and their energies. So, for example, if you notice that you're watching TV and someone gets hurt and you start to like feel it and you're like, oh, like that part of my body hurts, that's a rise in your empathy. If you're out in public and you see someone upset and they're crying and then you get upset and you're like, oh, like that's so sad, that's empathy. So if that happens to you more often and stronger, that is a sign that you are spiritually awakening. My empathy is super high. I am 100% empathic. I feel people's pain. I feel animals. I am high on the spectrum. Number 8. Okay, so this is similar to what I talked about with the inner peace. They can, change in what order you get them in. Feeling isolated and alone is the next sign of spiritual awakening. So this can come in the beginning, this can come in the middle, this can come in an end. But in the end, what it is you go through a few days or weeks feeling completely isolated, completely alone. For me, this happened at the very beginning of my awakening. I had to feel like I had nothing to realize I had everything. I felt completely detached. I felt alone. I felt isolated. I felt like I had no one to turn to. And that is huge because your body is almost forcing you to feel that way, so you have nowhere else to go but up. So that you finally say to yourself, I'm sick of feeling this way, and you start to make changes in your life. Number 9, desire for answers. So I said in the beginning that you're going to go through a phase where you start questioning everything. What's the purpose of life? Why do we have this? Why do we have to pay for food and water if it's natural to this earth? Why are we born into a society that we have no choice but to get up and work and go to school just to make a living, just to be happy? You're going to want the answers. I am still going through this, and I think I always will. It gets so maddening to me because I just want to know why. Why don't I have the option to disattach from society and still be able to survive and be happy? Why do I have to get a job? Well, of course it's good to have a job, but I'm saying, why do I have to follow society's standards and go to school for 12 years and then work, a 9-to-5 for the rest of my life just to survive? Why do I have to do that just to be happy? Why can't I go travel the world? Why can't I experience nature and animals and different scenery? Why does it cost so much just to travel an earth that we were all born on? We should all have rights to this planet. Okay, no one owns this planet. The person who's charging you all that money to go visit natural landmarks, why? You're just going to want the answers, and you're going to feel like it's just not fair, and you're going to want to drop off the face of the earth. You're going to want to live off the grid, and you're going to, you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to be like, how did Earth even get here? What's outside of Earth? What's running through the stars and through space? What are the other planets like? You're just going to go through a whole phase of just wanting answers and being so frustrated that those answers aren't available to us. And number 10, this always come, well, like I said, it can come in the beginning, the middle, or end, but it will always be the end result. You will be happy after all of that turmoil and all of the confusion and the questions and the desire for answers and the feelings alone of being alone. In the end, you are going to be happy. And this is a sign of spiritual awakening, because in this day and age, it is hard to genuinely be happy. Society tells us that we need a high-paying job, we need an updated house or an apartment, we need a nice car, we need to have money, we need to have this or that to be happy. When you are at your peak of being spiritually awoken, you're going to realize that you can be absolutely, genuinely happy with nothing, with none of this stuff. As long as you have food and water, you're going to realize that you can be genuinely happy, and your soul can be thankful every single day waking up. And that is going to, as long as you keep up with, your meditations and being spiritually woken, because it doesn't just happen, it takes work. You have to go with it. You have to continue doing your research, and you have to live a lifestyle that brings you the answers that you're seeking and the happiness that you want. But for me, every day I wake up with gratitude. I don't think about what I don't have yet. I don't think about, I don't have a huge house, or I don't have a crazy car. Like, no, I am so eternally grateful for what I have already, for having this apartment, for having my boyfriend, for having my cats, for having the car that I have. I am so thankful, and I don't spend any energy thinking about what I don't have. Of course, we have to make goals for ourselves, and we can have dreams, but knowing that we don't need that to be happy is the key point, okay? Like, that is so important. Every day I have gratitude and love in my heart. I thank the universe for allowing me another day to wake up, for allowing the sun to shine, for allowing it to rain, for allowing, the animals to have food and eat, and allowing me to be able to eat and have water. Just the basic things that we need to survive. I am so thankful for that every day. And when you give off gratitude, you receive everything. So this kind of goes into manifestation. You're manifesting things through your feelings and your emotions. So when you wake up and you thank the universe for everything you have, and you are genuinely happy with your life, you attract so much positivity, and you attract more. Versus if you sit there and say, well, I'm not happy, I want this. I'm not happy, I want this. You're giving out the energy that you're not happy, so what are you going to receive? Not positive vibes. You're going to continue pulling back in disappointments. But if you go out with an abundance amount of love and gratitude, you're going to receive love back. You're going to receive things that bring you more love and bring you more happiness. And it's just it's a chain reaction. It's a cycle. When you've reached the point of being genuinely happy, like your soul is happy without all this extra stuff around you, you are going to see life in a whole new way. Things are going to look so much brighter, so much better. You're going to be able to think clearer. You're going to be able to love the people around you more. You're going to be able to love yourself more. And it's just, true happiness is just the ultimate goal. And everyone is capable of getting there. You just have to detach yourself from the world and allow yourself to do some soul searching and, work on your soul, and take a step back for a little bit and think about what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy, what do you want to keep attracting in your life, and what you don't want to attract into your life anymore. And also, one of the big things is just knowing that everything happens for a reason can really ease your mind about a lot of things. Every time something happens for me, whether it's good or bad, I know that it happens for a reason. And I always say, if something good happens to me, I'm saying, thank you. Like this happened for a reason. I was meant to receive this. If something bad happens to me, I think, in some crazy way, it was meant to be. Maybe because this happened, something worse didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Oh, for a perfect example, when I moved here, I was looking for the right job, and I nanny in the morning, which is amazing. And I just got another job, pretty much the job of my dreams. I'm working in an environment where I can totally be myself. I can talk about crystals, and I can talk about spirituality, and I can help other guests get in touch with, you know, that side of them, all the way to just clothes and objects, all the way to like books and tarot cards and knowledge. I can help people, and that's really like a perfect job for me. And before I got this job, I looked at 2 other stores that I wanted to work at, and both of them, they weren't hiring. And instead of thinking like, oh, like this sucks, I didn't get the job, like they weren't hiring, I just realized, okay, I'm just not meant to be there. I'm gonna be thankful that they didn't accept me, because I'm clearly meant to be someplace else. And I am so ecstatic and happy and grateful, because the job that I got literally is where I'm meant to be. Like I only have been there for 1 day, and it already feels like home. Like the people there I already connected with like right off the bat. They make me so happy, and I don't even know them yet. Like it's just a perfect place, and I'm so thankful now that those 2 other places turned me down, because something even better was waiting for me. So that's pretty much it for this video. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share with your friends. I would love to hear your comments, your signs of awakening. If you have any questions, make sure to leave comments down below. You can follow my Instagram. I'll leave it on the screen right here, and you can message me. I'm on Instagram more, so it's easier to get in contact with me that way. My page is also, you know, about spirituality and enlightenment and bringing positive vibes into the world, so make sure you check that out as well. I hope you all have a blessed day and a wonderful weekend. Yeah, today's Friday, so have a wonderful weekend. I love you guys, and I'll see you at the next video.